When Angels Sleep is a Spanish thriller about the worst night of one poor father's life who's just trying to get home, but instead spends the night playing a cat and mouse game with the ferocious young woman who wants to bring him down. This film popped up on my Netflix recommends as the latest new release I should check out, and it sounded straightforward and interesting, so I clicked it. And this movie it's not great, but it's not terrible. It's not particularly violent or scary, but its message is pretty dark. I would give it a C+. I wonder if some things were lost in translation since it was in Spanish. I didn't really find the character behavior all that believable, especially for one of the leads, but the performances were good, and I was fairly engaged with the back and forth between our two leads, but let's talk about it. This is a Spanish movie about a businessman named Herman, or Herman, spelled with a G in the subtitles, so it looks like German, but in Spanish the G is like an H. It stood out while I was watching it. Anyways, he's not the best father because he's working so much to make money, to support his family. What a bad dude. He's late to his daughter's birthday party again, and despite his better judgment, goes on a very long drive home to try to make it to his daughter's birthday. His original ETA is about 5 hours, I think, but it turns out to be much, much longer. Parallel to Herman's story, I'm just gonna say Herman because I can't do that right, there's a rebellious teen called Sylvia who's going out with her friend Gloria. And Gloria is that one friend who your parents tell you not to hang out with because she has on too much makeup. It's kind of unfair. Gloria also does a lot of cocaine, so maybe they're right. Sylvia gets in a fight with her parents, goes out with Gloria and two really bad looking dudes who look like they're fresh out of prison. Sylvia is 16, but these dudes look 30 at least, and really hard. Anyways, as bad boys do, while they are on the car going for a joyride, one of them comes on to Sylvia a little too strong and she wants off the ride. Gloria follows her and now they are just walking along a dark road in the middle of the night. Perfectly safe and nothing terrible could happen, right? Herman is somewhere not too far and gets pulled over by cops at one point for swerving because he's tired. The officers try to force him to stay at a motel, but he has to get back home to see his daughter because he's a good father. Daughter and his wife Sandra will be constantly pestering him via the phone way past her bedtime, and this is an additional source of tension after things go to shit. Herman manages to slip away from the cops and heads home. He finds himself on the same road Gloria and Sylvia are on. He dozes off again and it seems like he hits something. There are little things in this movie that aren't as polished as they should be, and this scene where we discover that he's hit Gloria is one of those. I think if you hit a human, the impact would be pretty great and obvious, but the way it's filmed and sound designed, it's so slight. It looks and feels like a moderate speed bump. It just wasn't impactful. Herman discovers he's hit a girl and he immediately calls the authorities. I like that in this moment we didn't jump straight into I'm not gonna help her because I'll get in trouble. He wants to help her, but the signal's bad, so he decides maybe I'll take her to the hospital myself. But this is the first wrong move in the beginning of a succession of very, very bad moves. After he picks Gloria up and takes her into the car despite her screaming, he sees Sylvia on the side of the road back from taking a piss in the forest, and she starts screaming. He tells her to quiet down and please get in the car. In shock, she complies. Initially, she can't really remember what happened and thinks that the two guys they were hanging out with from before came and hit Gloria. This is Herman's out, and he doubles down on this story. Mistake number 2, lying to Sylvia. Yes, it definitely wasn't me. Did you see who did it? Eventually though, she sees his headlight and the blood and she realizes, oh shit, he was the one that hit her and she's probably in danger. And here we begin the bulk of the story, which is just a full hour of Herman chasing her, begging her to please listen to him, that he only wants to take her to the hospital, and her running away or fighting him off. We empathize with Herman. He's an asshole and is doing some really messed up things and bad decision making, but he really does want to help her and he also just wants to see his family. Unfortunately, Gloria, who's been in the back of the car, doesn't make it and things start spiraling out of control. Sylvia is a fighter. He'll find her and try to explain things, and she'll punch him in the face and stab him. They both become more and more bloodied. And just a side note, this is all happening in the same one stretch of road and occasional abandoned houses to change things up. There is not one other person out here that she can find when she's looking for help. It's a little bit unbelievable because this all starts off around 12 o'clock, but maybe they're in a super abandoned place. So we go back and forth and we're in the third act. At this point, Sylvia is injured in front of him on the floor. He begs her to just let him help her, but she also needs to tell the authorities that he acted in good faith. This is the final straw and where her man becomes a her bitch because he's just completely crossed over to the dark side. He's threatened her at this point and he's lost the moral high ground completely. Sylvia says, fuck that, in one of the most ballsiest and dumbest moments of standing your ground. Just proceeds to tear him down, telling him how his life is over because she's going to expose him and he is fucked. I thought this was incredibly stupid when a stronger, desperate man who's just made you bleed is standing over you begging for you to understand. At the very least, you probably shouldn't antagonize him to make his night even worse and make him even more aggravated. This felt really off. Though Sylvia is a young girl and she has been kind of consistently dumb, she's just super frantic, and had she just listened to what Herman was trying to tell her in the beginning, or lied to him and tell him that I'm not gonna say anything, she'd be fine. Just lie. Herman finally picks up his wife's phone call and tells her the reason he's been distant is because he hit a dog and he feels bad because the dog is dead. Sylvia, lying right in front of him, knows what's up. Obviously, she's the stand-in for the dog, and because he's just lied about it, that means he's going to get rid of her too. There's a final chase scene where they're going through some kind of field with flowers. He finds her, they fight, he chokes her. She seemingly dies in one of the most unconvincing death scenes I've ever seen. Her eyes literally roll up and she goes limp within a second. I almost expected her tongue to roll out and then her to go like, I'm dead. It was bad. She wakes up a couple hours later in the morning because he didn't check her pulse. Again, it doesn't make sense. She gets up and sees the road and other cars just across from a stream, but Herman comes back after getting his car and he wants to hide her body, and he sees her hobbling towards the cars. He throws some rocks at her, trying to kill her that way. That doesn't work. So then he goes into the river that she's trying to cross and proceeds to drown her. And this is the polar opposite of the choking scene. It lasts a really long time and it's pretty brutal. At the end, he's finally back home and his wife forgives him. She even finds the phone of the dead girl in his car. Police come to his house because they had tracked that earlier emergency call he made. But she lies for him, they buy it, and he's scot-free. We flash forward to about a year later and his wife's pregnant now and he's setting up his little girl's birthday party. The news of the missing girls plays and the primary suspects are the two dudes they were with before. He has dinner with his family, the birthday decorations of her daughter in the background. He stares at his food in shock as the news plays and the movie ends. I don't know why I just explained the whole movie, maybe because now you don't really have to watch it. This is a really nihilistic film because Herman does not get what he deserves. In fact, he kind of gets everything he wants. His wife loves him again, he gets a baby, and there are just no repercussions. That last scene at the dinner table where he's kind of just staring is an attempt at showing that it does bother him, but it's not enough. This is a strange movie. There was a lot of tension when he's battling it out with Sylvia, but it never really seemed fair. She's a 16-year-old girl. He's always holding back, trying to do the right thing initially, and Sylvia is just acting stupid in every situation. We all make dumb choices in stressful situations. That's kind of what this movie is about, but Sylvia doesn't behave quite like a real person. She is really aggressive, super antagonistic, which makes for great fight scenes, but believability not quite. This movie wants us to think that Herman is actually a good dude, because at the end, there's even that bossy coworker that was always making him do extra work, and the bossy coworker gets in trouble because he's trying to pawn work off to Herman, who's now at home setting up his birthday party for his daughter, because screw you, coworker. Herman's a good guy now. He's with his family, even though he's murdered 2 girls in cold blood. And it's strange. I'm strange, so I found it kind of fun. But Sylvia and Gloria deserve something too. The moral of the story feels like, if you can get away with it, do it. You'll feel guilty, but at least you'll be with family, and that's worth everything. Right? Pretty dark. That's all I got. Have you seen this film? What did you think of it? Thank you all so much for watching, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Have you ever committed a crime and tried to hide it? I definitely have not.